make these glam snowflakes and stars, you will need some plastic snowflakes or wooden snowflakes, then a string of beads of your choice color. Put a dot where the center of the snowflake is, and then measure the string out for each stem of the snowflake. I guess that's the word for it. Next, hot glue down the first half of the string onto the point that it matches to, and then glue the second half down once it's cooled. I discovered later on that if you cut out all the lengths that you need for one snowflake and then multiply that amount times however many you're doing, it makes this go so much more smoothly. To clarify how I'm measuring each length, I'm just going by the number of beads, and if any of my instructions are confusing you, hopefully the video to go with them will help you understand a little bit better. And this is the finished product of one. The next step is to take some string of your choice and tie it to the snowflake however you're able to. These ones, which were from Fred Meyer, were really easy to work with because they're ones that you're actually meant to put together into an ornament. The stars I accidentally started off camera, but not too far in. With these, it's basically the same idea, but you're hot gluing one bead down on each point of these stars. Both of these put together yourself ornaments I got from Fred Meyer, literally sitting right next to each other in the Christmas aisle. I would still recommend preparing all of your beads the way that we did with the last one for each of them, even though this one is a lot easier to do. The end product of this is so pretty and really gives me Christmas vibes. I really like how these turned out. Okay, now for this final DIY wreath. We are using the same beads that we used for the snowflakes and stars earlier. So you want to take the beaded string, and wrap it around the wreath as I'm showing you here. It's kind of hard to explain, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm just wrapping it around the needles on the wreath. Now there's a certain way you have to start the beading at the beginning so that in the end it will stay in place. How you do this is you take the end of the bead string and loop it through the hook at the very top, and then you wrap it around. Then when you're finished, you wrap the end of it back around the other side of the hook and then twist two beads together by the string. So if there is any confusion about what I just explained, I'm showing it right now. So you pull the beads through the back side of the hook and then flip them over the hook, and then you can twist two beads around each other to lock it in place. Finally, take some twine, or whatever this flexible cord that looks like twine is called, I couldn't remember the name for it, and tie it around the very top of the mistletoe and do a slip knot. Tie the two loose ends around a pine needle stem, and then just leave it hanging in the back. My camera died, so you can't see most of what I'm doing. And here's your final product. For our peppermint bark, we are crushing up 7 candy canes. You can crush it up however works for you. Break them apart first and then crush them though. You can also adjust the amount of candy canes to your liking, but this is the most basic step, just crushing up the candy canes. So once we're done with that, we are using a 24-ounce bag of semi-sweet chocolate chips and then an 11.5-ounce bag of regular milk chocolate chips. So pour half of your semi-sweet into a measuring glass. I would recommend a 2-cup measuring glass, and then microwave that for 30 seconds. If you want to make a smaller or larger batch, just divide or multiply the portions according to the amount you're after. Okay, so when it's done in the microwave for 30 seconds the first time, pour in about 1/3 of the milk chocolate chips on top of that, and then put it in for another 30 seconds. Of course, mix it though before you put it back in. After that, add in about 1/3 of what's left of each, and then stir it and put it back in the microwave for another 30 seconds, and repeat this until it is smooth and creamy. No lumps at all. Okay, so now we are laying out a cutting board. Put some parchment paper on that cutting board, and then mix in the crushed candy cane. Pour it out onto the cutting board. Take some time to really smooth it out. Make sure you've got all the edges covered, corners, all that stuff, because you don't want it to be too bold. The next step is just to let it sit for a couple of hours. Once the peppermint bark has cooled, start cutting it out with a knife in geometric shapes. This could take some time, so make sure your schedule is very open. If this is your first time making peppermint bark, it may take a little bit longer because with new recipes, it takes a little bit more experience to get them down. Okay, I just have to say the Christmas aesthetic of this looks really pretty, and the flavor of this really makes me think of a winter wonderland. It's epic. Alright, now for our last DIY, which I think might be my favorite, cream-filled gingerbread or ginger tree cookies. To make the actual cookie part, you can either get a gingerbread cookie kit, or you can use the recipe that I used, which is in the description box. While your cookies are cooking, make up the cream mixture, which is a mixture of half a 14-ounce tub of cream cheese frosting and then half a 16-ounce tub of buttercream frosting. When you have mixed those two together, take a gallon-sized sandwich bag, cut off one of the corners, and stick in a piping bag tip. Then put the bag in a glass and then start pouring in the mixture or scooping it in. Once the cookies are done baking, take 2 of them and flip them on their good side so that the flat side is facing up, and then fill them in with the frosting, starting on the edges and working your way inward. Finally, stick the other cookie on top and repeat until you're done. Christmas tree, the leaves are so